Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the welcome to the first ever live episode of the M&K Productions podcast. I'm your host, Mac, and as usual, I'm joined here by my co-host with the most, Kristen, aka Miss Flamingo. I'm added to the stage. Kristen, welcome to the show.
Hi, I'm great. This is our first live stream. Isn't this exciting, Mac?
I am super pumped to get this started.
Maybe a little nervous.
Yeah, a little nervous because we're just doing it live, and I'm just like, oh my god, let's do this. Like, go.
Whatchamacallit? What's his name? We'll do it live.
Yeah, epic. We'll do it live, and we are live right now. We're live on Twitch, we're live on YouTube, and we're live on our Instagram channel. We are super duper pumped right now. I am so excited to get this all started. And we are going to be reviewing the new Joker film in theaters, and we are super excited that we're not going to be doing it alone. We're going to be doing it with two special guests, both previous members on the show, but they're with us on this new journey. And we're going to introduce them one at a time. And the first person we're going to have on, we have not had him on for a while, but we've known him numerous times throughout our entire journey. He is an OG of this film reviewing game and reactionary game. Please welcome our friend David, aka FlixTalk, to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, let's go. And you're not alone. You got Oogie Boogie behind you.
Oh yeah, I'm getting the spooky season. I actually haven't decorated yet, but I'm still thinking about putting like some, orange and yellow. Something.
You always have like an awesome set. You are just one of the people I love tuning in and getting like your full setup. Your setup is like so cool. Some people overdo it, but I love your background so much.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm a huge physical movie collector, which is, I know it's kind of like dying off, and but still, I mean, there's a huge collection, a huge market for it still, and we're getting great movies that are. It seems like they're going from theater directly to VOD and then onto physical, like within a heartbeat, right? So, yeah.
And there's a demand for it. I mean, look at what we just saw with Hush. I mean, we're finally getting physical copies of that. So
love that movie.
Love that movie too. Well, we're excited to have you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, of course. All right. Matt, bring in our next guest.
And our next guest, he is known for his reactionary content. We talk some new films and he tells it like it is. I found him on his G.I. Joe Snake Eyes review because, oh my goodness, yeah, that was a disaster. But it's going to be Imjameshsaw, a.k.a. James. James, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, let's go.
I'm pumped to be here. This is cool. Doing it live, so I'm interested to see how this goes, but I think we'll be able to do it, and it's going to be fun, entertaining. So different, obviously, vibe for me. Normally, I do my reviews in my car. Didn't want to do it. It's too hot to be talking for so long in the car. So, don't mind to change the location.
Yeah, no worries at all. You're both looking good. You got both, in the zone. I could tell, ready to talk about this film that has caused a lot of audiences to be very, very disappointed, obviously. So
don't say.
Yeah, I mean, let me just ask you both right away. Did you both love the first Joker, or what did you think of the first time you saw the first Joker film directed by Todd Phillips?
I love the first Joker. I think I've been getting to super fatigue for so long. I get our comic book fatigue, we'll say, for so long. And with Batman and Joker, we got to see like where the city was much of a main character as the particular character. So in this case, I felt like with Joker, the sort of the city of Gotham kind of shaped and made him the Joker. So I appreciated that, and it was different. It was bold, and I was definitely probably one of the best films of that year. And I'm glad a lot of people ended up seeing it. But now in retrospect, I wish a lot of people hadn't seen it because we got stuck with the second one. But I'll leave it at that for now.
David, your thoughts on first Joker?
No, James is absolutely right, because that's the nature of the beast. Unfortunately, if a movie does well, we know the studio isn't going to greenlight one, whether people like it or not. Mm-hmm. So it's that whole double-edged sword. I mean, this is a over $1 billion movie, and the first one we actually rewatched maybe 3 days before we saw Joker 2, my fiance and I. And we both saw it in theaters when it did come out in 2019. I really thought it should have swept the Oscars. I understand it went to Parasite. I mean, it was, remember that year? It was like Parasite, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Like these were big
Right.
movies. It was going up.
Yeah.
It was a really great year before a pandemic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was a whole different time. And I believe it did win a couple of awards.
Yes, including Joaquin's amazing performance in the first film that really stands out and what holds the first film together, not just from Todd's direction, but
yeah, absolutely. No, and it has me torn because we didn't get enough Heath Ledger material as the Joker, but those two are definitely my favorite Jokers for sure. And the first one is just it's like lightning in a bottle. Like they should have just left it alone at what it was. And by the end of rewatching it, because I only watched it in theaters and then watched it again recently.
Yeah,
that movie to me is fantastic because it's more than just I'm not the biggest superhero guy, but I kind of pick and choose which superhero characters or villains that I kind of choose to watch. And I just think they nailed it because it's more of a surface level thing, people going through mental health and a lot of people can relate to a character like this. And I just felt more entertained with this one than we'll get into the second one, but I thought it was a perfect overall movie, the first one.
You're pretty much on the nose of what my thoughts are on where the first one was. Obviously, Mac and I talked about it on our podcast episode. So if anybody wants to go check that out, they can go check out a review over on YouTube with that. But Mac, let's dive into the new film. Give audiences a little info on what the new film is about.
All right, so we flash forward to 2024. The first Joker movie made $1 billion, so we're like, okay, time for sequel. So we got blessed in October 4th with Joker. How do you pronounce this thing? Folie et Deux, or A Dance for Two. We're gonna say Joker 2.
Madness for Two. I think it's
close enough. I don't these damn French titles, but Joker it is a sequel, and the plot of it follows the events after the first Joker movie. Arthur's in a trial to go over the murders that he did in the first film, where he meets Harleen Lee Quinzel, aka Harley Quinn, and it's about their adventures on trying to have love and Arthur beating the case. And that's pretty much to sum it up. And heavy warnings, we're going to be spoiling this film because it's been a week, but you should have already probably seen it or seen spoilers already. But that's kind of the gist of it. And boy, everyone was really excited for the plot. I remember when they announced the sequel, everyone was very, very excited to just go and be able to oh my gosh, they're gonna be able to go and just watch this film. And I was one of them. This was actually on a lot of people's anticipated list film of the year, so we went and we watched it. And before we get started, what did you all think about the idea to make it a musical?
I didn't have a problem with it being a musical. As soon as Lady Gaga was signed on, I kind of knew they probably would go in that direction. I wanted to since the first one was so good, I had trust. Okay, I was like, you know what? I'll trust it. It can go in so many different directions with it. I think it's a bold take, just like the first one. But I'm willing to be open-minded and see how they can go, because I was like, man, his mind is so deep, right? There's so many thoughts. I wonder how it is. It could be good, right? See Joker and Harley, two psychotic people. See how their mind can go, and a musical performance would have been good. So I was excited and intrigued to see what they would have done, going that direction.
David.
Same. When I heard it was going to be announced as a music, I mean, I was the same feeling as James. I knew when they were going to attach someone that was musically, just proficient, that it was going to be somehow she had to display her skills, right? It was going to be like a trap situation where they throw M. Night's, daughter in there and she's going to sing half the movie, whatever. I wasn't, necessarily a fan of that, because I was like, well, how much? My whole thing was, how much of it's going to be a musical? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Is it just going to be a couple of flashback sequences? That's what I was initially going into. But we have loved Lady Gaga for like 20 years. Whenever she came out, we've gone to a couple of her concerts. She's a great artist that's transitioned into movies. American Horror Story, House of Gucci was whatever to me. I liked her in A Star Is Born.
Love
and
that
in this
film.
movie, in this movie, I know we're not going to get into it yet. We're about to get into it, but I think she did fine for what it was. I just wanted it to be more of that surface level. I didn't want it to be animated,
Mhm.
is what I'm saying, like a superhero movie usually is. I
Right.
wanted it to keep that same tone. But I wasn't too mad at it when they announced that it was going to be a musical. But I was like, this is going to divide a lot of people going to go see it, though, for sure.
I agree on that. I mean, I didn't mind it as a musical concept idea first. And for those who don't know, this is a type of musical that's a jukebox musical where songs in the film are like not like original songs. So we also have that accompanied album that pairs one with the film. I don't remember what it was called. I think it's called Harley, correct?
I think it
Yes.
is.
Yeah.
The
Or
companion album that was also released with the film.
Mhm.
One that
Right.
Gaga
Yes.
put out. Yeah. So, but this film is known to be a jukebox musical. Like I said, uh, cover songs. So, most of the songs that I believe, from what I recall and from what I remember, they are based on songs featured in other musicals. So, that one being included, That's Entertainment, from the Bandwagon, famously associated with Jubilee Garland. That's like obviously tied into there from what we see from the performances. But for the film itself, you are right. I think it very much divided audiences. And right now, from what we get from the presentation, I'm going to put it out there right now. We see half a musical and then half of a courtroom drama. So for me, it's an interesting concept, but seeing Gaga tied to it, it makes sense. And the marketing she's done for this film has been absolutely incredible. But what we get in the delivery of like the story and its presentation, which we'll get into, it's very mixed, I will say. Mac.
Yes. So I was a little hesitant because I thought that the first Joker movie was just a good character study, so you didn't really need to do a sequel. If I'm not mistaken, I think Phillips and Joaquin were like, "Yeah, we're not doing a sequel. Like, we're good, like, and everything." But Warner Bros. Like, it made $1 billion, so you should come back. We'll give
Yes.
you a piece of
Studio
that pie.
pressure.
So they're
Yeah.
like, "Okay, fine, but we're gonna do it our way." And I'm not opposed to musicals. Like, I like In the Heights and Repo, the Genetic Opera, Rent, all those. So maybe seeing this in a different interpretation, because this isn't really the Joker that we know. I was like, okay, this could work. It'll probably be divisive, but I still think people will go see it and love it like they did the first one. And it's going to rack up all the awards. Gaga's going to win an Oscar. Phillips is going to be credited, and just everything. But no, it didn't go that way because Joker 2 came out and is divisive, so I called that. But yeah, no, it's not doing that well. I think right now it's sitting at a 33% Rotten Tomato score critically and about like a 36% audience score, and people were not vibing with this. And
I will bring up a point to you. I think the first film is more divisive than the sequel. I will say, because I think pretty much everybody was on agreement with it than what the first one was. Because
Well, I'd
that
say
one
more-
really started more of a conversation piece than the sequel.
well, at least the first one had a conversation piece of like, what was this movie about? This one has a conversation piece of like, how the hell did this happen? This sucks.
Yeah, that's fair.
right.
But
Right,
yeah, we also Joker, and yeah, people are not feeling it. Clunky story, the musical sections, I heard performances too, the ending, and just kind of having like, did you really need a sequel? And all the rumors you've been hearing about how this was a dream that Joaquin had, and then Todd Phillips was not taking any notes for anything. This just leads to a recipe to disaster. So I'll leave it to open floor. When did you see Joker? Did you see opening night or later on? And what was kind of the vibe you got from it before and then after the film? Like, how were you feeling it?
Let's start with David this time.
Sure. So we went. I think actually, I want to say that this was released like 3 or 4 days before opening night in some theaters. We actually saw it the Thursday night before.
Mhm.
When we showed up, I tend to show up later now that trailers are damn 30 minutes, right, of everything.
Mhm.
And I see them all on YouTube anyways, days before. So we get there like within 5 minutes, and only half the theater's full. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, I have my Joker shirt on, like I was kind of like pumped, right? Because once again, overall, I love the Joaquin his portrayal, because once again, it's not too animated, it's not too cartoony or whatever, and I like the change. So we sat down, we finally saw it. The theater was not really vibing with anything, literally anything on screen. I kept looking over my fiance. at certain moments, especially like the dream sequences or a lot of the musical notes, especially when they went on like 7, 8, 9 songs in a row. I just looked over her like, is this shit ever gonna stop? You know what I mean? Like 4 or 5 is fine. Like that's great, especially when they're inserted as like a dream sequence. Because there is some parts where like he's in his cell and he goes to sleep and he's dreaming Harley Quinn because they had their first interaction, and that makes sense, right? But literally when they break out into song, it's like, okay, so is he hallucinating this when he's like literally right in front of her? What is happening? Like some of the tie-ins don't really. There's a lot of plot holes for me at least, or unnecessary, just songs to be shimmied in. But that's what the whole accompany album is for. So you can get a little vibe of some of the songs, and then you go listen to it on Apple Music, Spotify, whatever. You don't need the whole album in a damn movie to me.
Right.
But I feel like they're like, oh, without this, just a courtroom drama is going to be boring. And you know what? It was boring. This was the most boring Joker I've ever could have imagined in my life, and I was really, really disappointed. Because obviously I guess we could talk spoilers, but once that explosion happens, I was like, finally some damn action like in this movie, and then you don't get much from it. Like he runs away and then the movie ends, and I'm like, fuck. Like I don't know, can we curse on here, or is it how
Yeah,
you
you
guys
go
doing?
ahead.
Okay, I know this is your first live stream, but yeah, so I was really disappointed, and overall just kind of letting it marinate in the days over. I'm looking at the cast list right now. I'm like, so much wasted talent. So much wasted talent. Joaquin Phoenix looked even skinnier in this one, which to me was like method acting. Like he's trying to show that he's been in this Gotham asylum or whatever for so long, just deteriorating basically. He put his body through that for this. It's wasted talent all
He
for
is
me.
a method actor, as many have said. So
yeah, maybe not go with the sequels anymore, Joaquin. Just kind of like avoid them, like how Denzel does. Denzel was like, I'm not doing sequels, and then he did Equalizer 2, and we saw what the fuck happened. It didn't make no money. So it's like,
yeah.
I don't know.
All right, James.
Yeah, I went to I believe, the early access for this, so it was that Monday, and yeah, I looked. But before I go, I always see like how many tickets are sold. That kind of gives me a vibe of like, okay, are people gonna go? It was probably 3/4 full, which I didn't expect. I'm like, oh, I expect this thing to be 100% full. It's Joker. So watching the movie. So yeah, the audience. See, I wasn't vying with, but I always see like how the audience is doing. That's kind of my big thing. And the audience really was, yeah, they were like David. They weren't really feeling the film. And for myself, I never do this. I was extremely started fidgeting, and looking at my phone. I never do that. And especially during the Joker movie, I didn't expect to do that. But I was just like, I don't care to see. Listen, if I want to see somebody in jail for 2 hours, I'll go visit my friends in jail. I don't do that. I don't want to see nobody in jail for 2 hours. So I'd expect it to be in that one setting for 90%, of the film. Um, but yeah, I was just very, very disappointed watching this. It was probably one of the worst movies, probably the worst movie of the year for me, just because of the expectations. And it's probably my fault. Normally I don't set expectations for films, but I got bamboozled in this one. So that's why right now it's probably one of my worst, just because expectations were so high, and it just completely just said F you to the first one. He says fuck you guys, talk about the first one. We're gonna do our own thing. And that's unfortunate, but
I was also felt like I was bamboozled myself. I saw this Monday night at that early IMAX screening that they did for the fans. I was excited. I got my tickets right away. The tickets were going off like hotcakes. Like, my screening was pretty much sold out. There might have been like 1 or 2 seats left open, but that was like,
right.
Oh, bring a +1. Oh well, that's what it was. So like I said, theater was full, and the IMAX that I was in, it's like pretty much the only IMAX theater that's like where I live, the only one. The next one would have to be like another 40 minutes away. So you're pretty much in that area of like, if you're seeing it that night, then it's probably going to be sold out. So we saw it, and I've never felt like it took me so long to put my thoughts together on a film. Usually most of us are like, oh, let's put it out there. We usually know, but this one took me like over a week to figure out why I didn't love this film. I think there's some good in it, but definitely like why certain decisions were made. Like why. And it's
I
basically
didn't
what
even
you said,
I didn't even
James.
do an out of theater reaction for it because I was so disappointed. This is like the only time I haven't done one in like months.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you usually have been doing it a lot lately because I remember seeing your Beetlejuice one. So I was like shocked. Not many people were like happy about it because I was like, seeing the results, even including at Venice, and they were like, like the critics of Venice got to see it early, but that's like a sign, I guess we could say if the critics weren't liking it at Venice, then how were
How did it
audiences
get
going?
a standing ovation? I don't get how it got a standing ovation.
I don't know.
It is all,
They lie.
it's all fake.
I
all
feel
fake.
like that they dramatize that every once in a while, but
Yeah.
I've been seeing a lot of lip readers like interpret the what people were saying during after like what Joaquin saw, and he was like they were saying like what the conversation he had with Gaga.
I think I saw that.
Like lip reading, like stuff saying like, "Oh, this was horrible" or something. Like he was like, I don't know if we'll never know what he said, because it's like that situation with the Harry Styles and Chris Pine situation. If we all remember that, that was another
Did
story.
he spin his hand or something?
Yeah, that's what it
Yeah.
supposedly like looked like. And that was another Venice event, and here we are again. People trying to interpret what Joaquin and Gaga had. Mac, when did you see this?
So I saw this on the Tuesday after its premiere weekend, and I had kind of gotten the vibe. Everyone's like, "Oh, this movie sucks," and everything like that. So I go in, I'm expecting like I was calling and I was thinking it's like, "Oh, okay, we're gonna do this big style." Like, all right, this is probably gonna be a like Madame Web Borderlands type thing. So I'm like, all right, I got my red hands ready. But I was like, you know what? I like the first film. I'm not really that much of a fan of Gaga, but I still at least respect her craft.
Right.
So I just said, I'm going to go and see it, open mind, everything. First 40 minutes, the projector froze. So the movie was frozen. It was the scene where they were about to have sex in the cell. It froze.
What a scene to be stuck at.
Yeah, you didn't miss much.
So like it stopped, and I knew something was going to happen because I knew something was going to happen because I immediately was like, the audio cut out for a second. So I was like, okay, that's odd. And it froze. I'm like, I think I audibly said, the projector's like, "No, Mas, I need a break. Please, this movie is killing you." Because at that point, I felt the vibes was a little off because I just didn't think that the movie just wasn't doing it for me. And I was like, this isn't terrible. Like, I think the animation story at the beginning of the film, I thought that was great. But everything else, I was just like, I'm not really feeling the music and everything. And then the attendant came in and is like, "We are aware of the problem, so let us fix it." I think it probably took about 10 minutes for it to get back. And they're like, "Was this the scene you're at?" And they're like, "Yeah." So they re-racked it 2 minutes before when they were trying to go over the fence at work. I'm like, I got to watch this shit again. So I went out and went to use the bathroom. And, I think like when I saw spoilers for this on Facebook for 2 scenes in particular we'll get into, but I saw the last shot and I was like, I was like, this doesn't seem good. Watching it, this didn't seem good at all. And it was something missing where like the crowd just wasn't in it. And they had this movie in D-Box. So I saw it in D-Box just randomly. So I'm like, I mean, it was cool, but I'm just like, this doesn't really seem necessary for D-Box. And, I didn't pay any money for the ticket. I used my Cinemark pass. So I feel like I was not as robbed from it.
I feel like it's not a good film for D-Box at all. It's so random to see that. I mean, like it fits for IMAX or maybe like a Dolby, but not for D-Box.
What's D-Box? I don't think we have one out here. What's D-Box?
D-Box is pretty much like, when you go to, I'll explain, like you go to like Universal or something, they got those movable seats. That's kind of like what D-Box is. And it immerses you in that movie.
Got it. We have 40X. Okay, sorry. I was thinking 40.
I think it's
like what it is. Okay, 40X we have out here.
Like branded or like what they call it, because I've done it a couple times, but
have you guys seen?
Go ahead.
Real quick, have you guys seen the theaters that kind of like it shows you the front panel and then there's the movies on the side of the wall?
Yeah,
It's weird. They were showing their experience of watching Joker like that. That would like flip me out. What's the point of that? It's like extra IMAX or something.
I'd lose.
I
Yeah.
saw somebody do that for Adam Webb.
Yeah, out here it's called. I know Red Rico has this called Screen X. Some movies are cool like that, but the movies are getting too gimmicky. Man, I read just sit down and watch the movie. I don't need my seat to rock. I don't need any of that. I just want to watch the movie. I don't need extra features. Just
I feel
let me
like
watch the movie.
there's some movies you can do that for, like Jurassic World, Fast and Furious, perfect. But like
Yeah,
Joker 2,
Tenet. I did that for Tenet.
but like seeing Joker 2 and D-Box or any immersive, it's just that's just you're contributing to your insanity with
Right.
that is.
But Matt, so this is when the screen went off. That's for now on. When it happens to me, I'm not ignoring the signs for the cinema gods. Every time I had a screen issue and I stayed, the film was wasting my time. So next time I have a screen issue, I'm just gonna listen to the gods and walk away and go do something else because
See,
it never ends well when there's a projection issue.
Even my friend was like, I know you didn't want to see this, but she's like, I know you have to review it, so we're gonna stick it out. Because she's like, we can leave. I'm like, no, we gotta stay. We're gonna finish this movie. And they gave us rain check passes, so I got a free ticket anyway out of
That's
it.
good.
But yeah, no, Joker 2 was just it just wasn't it, man.
They gave us posters too, I should say, after my screening. So if I really wanted to, I could show it off. Same.
Is now the time to do this?
Oh my god!
Right? So
We better
I was
clip
waiting for it.
this and put this on our socials, Matt.
I'm gonna clip it. Oh my god!
Shouts out to my brother Jeremy for getting me one because I think this is a Cinemark thing. I saw it at AMC, but he's like, he goes, I got you one, even though I hated the movie, and I'm like, this is what I'm gonna do it for.
Yes.
Nice,
oh my
nice.
god. That was beautiful. We had the same one, and let's put that out there.
So
obviously that scene on the poster is not featured in the film at all.
What are they?
Isn't that
Some
crazy?
type of fan force stick cutting out scenes? Oh my god!
What did you guys think about hearing that there was 3 different endings filmed for this movie that didn't see the light of day?
That's right. I forgot.
Was
I mean, I don't know what they were, but
I have
that's
no
what I
idea.
saw.
I felt like they should have just had like the staircase because I think that's what a lot of people are excited to see. I mean, I was waiting for that scene from what we saw in the trailer because it's heavily shown in the trailer. And, you know, they're dancing. Gaga has like this dress on. I mean,
they're Millie rocking
costume
down
is
those
looking
stairs.
Great.
And she's pregnant. I mean, we don't even see that in the movie.
Yeah. So,
Little
like,
marketing.
I need to know, but we get that awful ending. So,
Remember,
I think that's the big conversation here.
Remember when people were like, Todd Phillips should take over the DCEU instead of James Gunn? I think that argument died with Joker Folie, whatever came out. And like I did read about the endings, and I think I don't know when to say this was on Reddit, so the information might not be credible. I don't know, but the other 2 endings sounded a lot worse because one of the endings had him get off the court case and they were happy together ever after. So he actually beat the case on his own.
How would that even work?
I don't know.
Killing 5
but yeah, I guess you want to start from the backwards, Kristen. We talk about the ending and kind of just go from there.
All right, I'm gonna pull this off of Wikipedia. So,
good old
Also-
Wikipedia.
because this is
Also,
the best
real
way, I'm
quick-
gonna pull up the spoiler for
Real
our
quick,
ending discussion.
it
Yes,
should-
go ahead.
I was gonna say it should have been a sign because I think it was Thursday before the world saw Joker. Todd Phillips was like, "I'm done with all DC projects." Did you guys see that quote?
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, bro, this movie is gonna be terrible. So
This is the biggest FU
definitely liked
to any like fans of Joker. Like, and it was so great because he loved the first film. Like, he was so proud of it. Everybody was proud of it. I mean, the producers that were attached to the first film, like, you know, really rode for him. But then it was like, well, what did you do here? You know. But as the film concludes, I'm gonna move my mic as I could read here. Arthur wanders through Gotham City and encounters Lady Gaga, outside his old apartment, of course, by the stairs. But she rejects him for re-announcing his Joker persona. So no more Joker. Arthur gave it up, As she leaves, the police apprehend Arthur and return him to Arkham. The next day, a young inmate approaches Arthur and begins telling him a joke before repeatedly stabbing Arthur in the abdomen. As Arthur bleeds to death, his assailant craves a smile on his own face while laughing hysterically.
Can you believe that's a Dark Knight prequel, guys? It's confirmed. Like,
Yes.
it has to be.
We love
Yeah.
that. No, we don't. No, we don't. We all don't love that. We don't like that. I don't like that. That would be like then saying that's how Heath Ledger's Joker was formed. And I'm just like, bruh, nah. Bro, no, that did not work for me. James.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry,
Yes.
before
Go
I
ahead.
just want to ask a question because I'm not, very familiar with a lot of the DC stuff.
Mhm.
Timeline wise, is that trilogy the Nolan trilogy? That's not set like in the 80s or anything. That ties this
No.
together, right? Okay, so
No,
then how the
not at
fuck
all.
would that work with Heath Ledger's Joker?
No, we all don't know. We all don't know.
Okay.
I actually have a fun fact with that, but I'll wait till the end to say it.
Yes, yeah, because I really want to hear James. James, what was your
Yes.
reaction to that disastrous ending?
Couldn't help but to laugh. I was like, so that means, so what? I don't know if the first one's not gonna be a third one. I think this ended them having a third one. I mean, it would have been better had the movie gone a different way. Like I understand, like now that he's not Joker, but someone sort of needs to be this character. But just the way the film was just a letdown. I was like, that's how we're gonna end this thing. So that means the whole first movie was just not obsolete now, right? The whole first movie would just waste everybody's time. I think in the theater, everyone was just like, really? Like everyone just basically just had the same like, what the fuck? Really? This is how we are ending this thing. I don't know. If all the endings, that's definitely not where I expected this to go. I was hoping they would maybe have, I don't know, a Bruce Wayne, I don't know, anything to connect it, right? So I'm not sure if it's supposed to be connected to anything, or is it just if they do a Joker 3, God forbid, like what direction you're gonna go
We're
in,
not
you know?
getting a Joker 3
Yeah, I
anytime
know it. Yeah,
soon.
I know when I get a Joker 3, but yeah, I thought I was a huge disappointment that they just have this guy now who's trying to take over this sort of Joker identity because the Joker went from like society creating him to now someone just like what cosplaying basically, and I'm like that undermines the whole you know discussion around the first Joker. Right now, it's just anyone can just be Joker. You can just I want to be Joker, and no, the
Mhm.
Joker is a very complex character study, right? That is forged by society, not by you idolizing Arthur. I don't know. It was.
Right.
There's no really good way about the ending. Yeah, we're not very happy with it. And that was the biggest punch in the gut. The whole film, right? The ending was just made everything like really. It's just different. I could have maybe been okay with the movie, but to end it like that, I just feel like we all got punched in the gut by King Kong or something, man. It just.
Do you think Gaga should have left Joker?
I do. So I do like. I know we're shitting on Joker. I do like the subtle changes they did make to um Joker and Harley Quinn's relationship. I think it was bold to sort of switch their roles. So that I did find interesting. And just again, just the execution wasn't good, but I think she was right for leaving. I think that was good because she obviously was manipulating him the whole time. So his lawyer was
Mhm.
correct, right? That she's basically just using you. She just wants the Joker. She does not want you. So I thought that was pretty good. That expected ending I liked. It's just the Joker dying I didn't like, but I did like their dynamic. I wish they would have done it a different way.
Yeah.
So that is a positive. Like that change was bold, but I think it did work out in the end.
David, before I ask you, I just want to say that at least I thought this version of Harley Quinn was more of a tamed down version from what we've seen from like
Right. Right.
Margot Robbie, obviously. So
Yes.
a little bit more humanist in a way, like have more human, realistic reactions, more to it. But I do think the Margot Robbie version of Harley Quinn is much better. But I was entertained by Gaga's performance. David, your thoughts on the ending?
Yeah, absolutely. Well said by both of you guys on the endings, by the way. So yeah, I was very very conflicted of how I think by the time we get the verdict in the court case, Arthur's just beaten down. He's like emotionally he's done. He's so done, and he's taking responsibility for that he did this, and there's no Joker, and yada yada yada. And that's when she decides to leave him. And we find out, throughout the whole time, she is a manipulator. She went to she has a psychology degree. I do like the layers that this person is. Once again, we're not in comic book world. Like, this is like real life traits that people do have. You know what I mean? So I like that factor that they're trying to mix in there. But it just seems like by the time we get that ending of him getting stabbed by that inmate that we see, and I was just watching the rewatching a bootleg. I'm just gonna call it a bootleg in Roblox, so I don't get in trouble.
There you go.
But
yeah,
I was rewatching it, and I was like, damn, I didn't realize that guy was like literally in the hallway scene, like staring at him, like through the whole movie. This guy's staring at him, right? The one that ends up shanking him at the end. So we see glimpses, and we know this guy is gonna somehow come some way, shape, or form with Arthur in the end. I thought by the time it got to that point, I was not even surprised, just for the simple fact of the way they set it up with the camera shots. I go, this guy's going to do something to him. And but I felt like Arthur just gave up at that point. He was mentally drained. He looks physically drained, and he was just going to kind of let it be at that point. But at the same point, at the same token, like, this is a big F you to the fans, because it's like, look what I'm going to do to your guys' hero that you got. Well, it's not really a hero, but he's
not really a hero. He's more like an anti-hero crying for help.
Anti-hero underdog. Yeah, I mean, because we like what he does to the rich guys in the beginning of the first part, the first film, I should say. And then he's just but before that all happens, the whole staircase scene, we get to see her true colors, Harley Quinn. I knew that was going to happen. I didn't want to see it happen. I'm still to the belief that there are two variants of her either getting away with this, actually being pregnant, or she lied about the whole pregnancy, or she actually really did kill herself, and he's just seeing her on the steps one final time. I really don't know how to interpret this, because I would say the darker ending is for her to kill herself while she's pregnant. That's the darkest ending, right? And then Arthur getting killed afterwards. But the way I see WB, even though they lost a shit ton of money, this movie's being talked about even in a bad light. They're gonna do a Harley Quinn movie with her. They're gonna do one. I don't know if it's gonna be necessarily a movie or a series like what they're doing with the Penguin, but I feel like she is gonna come back. They're gonna implement some kind of revenge factor with the guy in jail. They're gonna try to tie it together, just because the response online was insane for this day one. So initially, I saw a lot of praise coming out of the festivals, like on the first day. And then I saw actual cinephiles going for early screeners, and they're like, this is a mess. It's very disjointed. Then I went to go see it, and then I made my own decision. Then that weekend, all the Gaga stands came out, and like, you guys don't get it. I'm sure you guys saw that, right?
Yeah, there was Gaga fans in my screening, so, dressed up, and I'm like, I understand where the appeal is to that, and like, understanding Gaga as a person, and then seeing the character. So the fandom, I don't know if we're gonna get that though.
It was like a Taylor Swift fandom. Like, you say something about the Swifties, right? They come after you. It doesn't matter how bad the project is. You don't come after them. So, but this whole thing that I kept seeing them push was those that didn't understand it are incels, and they don't get it. The whole thing was they don't get it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a very like narrow-minded way of thinking when you're going to try to shut down someone's argument. Because first of all, they're not even cinephiles. They are not even people that go to the theater weekly or watch movies at home and stuff like that. They're going for the fandom of one person.
Yeah.
And that opinion really shouldn't determine a whole movie's outcome, I think, especially when it's a franchise like this, or the two movies that we got. But I was just over it, and I knew that this was going to happen. It was a surprise when the guy cut his mouth, and I was like, they're going to try to tie this into the Heath Ledger thing, or maybe it's just paying homage, because how does this work in a timeline form? But I was just very disappointed. And I thought the movie started off strong too. Which
yes, I agree too.
We'll talk about, but like the first 30-40 minutes was like fine to me, and then it just got very boring, and then how it ended is
Yeah. Mac, what did you think about the ending?
You know, it's funny you mentioned with the stair scene because I didn't even take into account that she did put a gun into her head in the earlier scene because I kind of like phased that part out of my mind. And when he's like, stop, she's like, stop singing. I was like, is that the audience saying like, yeah, stop singing? I don't want to sing no more. I'm so sick of this. I'm tired of this. But that is a good theory that maybe she did kill herself, and that's like because they did mention earlier that he does have the ability to kind of just fantasize these things. So maybe, you know, if she did shoot herself, did he just imagine her on the stairs and kind of like coming to terms about you're not Joker anymore? She never loved you for who you were. And then the stabbing thing, I thought like, okay, that's stupid. When I hear, hey, Arthur, you want to hear a joke? It's like, what did it become? Like, oh my God, you're really going to call? They called back to the first film a lot, especially the Murray scene. And I was like, yeah, that's keep mentioning that movie that I like better. And then the fun fact with the guy carving himself with his mouth. So what I read is that apparently Todd Phillips wanted Arthur to do that in the first film, but Christopher Nolan was still with Warner Brothers, and he put the kibosh on that because he said that's disrespectful to Heath Ledger. So then, you know, Nolan's not here anymore, and Todd Phillips like, I can do whatever I want, and you know, we had that scene.
You know,
that makes sense. That makes sense.
I hated it so much.
I'm just gonna say, the ending to see him die, it's tragic because I didn't want to see Joaquin die. I wanted to see him get the help that he was desperately craving for at the end.
Right.
But it's not as strong because I was actually like taking notes as I was, you know, in the car with my husband. You know, I was taking my notes immediately after I thought about the film, and I was still continuing to take notes as we were like having this discussion. But let's see. What do you want to talk about next? Should we talk about the casting, the additional casting that we had for this film?
Oh, no, I was going to ask a scene, too. How did y'all feel about the scene in the shower when he got back to Arkham?
Oh, gosh.
Did you think that was necessary? Because I watched it, I'm like, what the fuck? And then it's like, I know that's supposed to, like, help with the next scene of, like, how he's broken inside. But
yes,
did you feel like that's, like, why did you need to have that in there?
Yeah, well, I feel like a lot of scenes this first film was too long. I think cut about 15, 20 minutes off, and that scene would have been a scene that could have been cut out of here completely. So, I mean, there's a lot of scenes I just honestly completely forgot about. I was checked out probably 90% of the film, to be honest with you. It just nothing was really keeping me intrigued, right? Like, okay, he's still talking, he's still, you know, nothing. So I remember as like very particular singles. So once I watch a movie like this, and I don't care for it, I'm never gonna revisit it again. I'm over it, you know. But yeah, I thought that was one of those unnecessary scenes you could have cut out of this film. Even if it saves 5 minutes, like 5 minutes a week would have got back, and the film probably would have been better had you cut down a lot of the scenes. I think a lot of the scenes that they could have done longer, they didn't. And the scenes that they, you know, I think it would have been better if some of the more scenes with him and Harley were better. Take away some of those other scenes, and the film might have been better.
right.
I don't know. It's hard to say. There's so many, I think, disjointness with the film. But yeah, that was an unnecessary scene, in my opinion. I get what they're trying to show, but I just felt like overall, once you see the film in its complete, you're like, okay, going back, you could have cut this out, you could have cut that out, and I think the film would have been the same.
David.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to watch my cat in the back, make sure to knock over my shit.
Yeah. I love
no,
your cat though.
Oh, thank you. So that was a scene that I even looked over at my fiance and I go, you know what they just did, right? Like, cause she kind of didn't put two and two together. You know, he was getting pulled away with his pants down and stuff like that. And that was a scene that I think, I mean, I'm used to seeing stuff like that because I've just seen cinema through history. I know they throw the R word scenes in there all the time, but just to kind of add that in this sense, you know, to dehumanize them, it's a whole like it's a power thing to do, just to show that, you know what, we already know you're nothing. Now you're like at beyond nothing at this point, right? We're not going to just beat you up. We're just going to humiliate and make you feel like you want to kill yourself ultimately. And there's a lot of scenes where you see Joker and even where they kill his buddy in the asylum. Also, that was a scene that I forgot until now. He constantly is around a lot of just despair and just death and just a lot of sadness, right? And I think that was there's a lot of theories that Todd put that in there, another FU to the fans. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I know that I thought it was unnecessary. But because he did insult the guards, but I think that who would push it to that level? Like it didn't need to go there.
Yeah,
At
I
least be
just
shown, you know.
it was kind of awful to see personally. Like I just, because it was implied that happened. We don't see the full. Obviously, the event happened. If that little chunk was just taken out, I think the story still would have been effective and fine from like what Todd at least was trying to say. I think, like what you just said, David. I think it's more of the FU to the audience that said, "Okay, here's another thing that's really gonna make you angry about this." Mac, your thoughts on that scene?
Like I said, I think that it was just very unnecessary. It was just like, oh, is it supposed to show how cruel they are in Arkham? There's always a theme with like a Joker or Batman story of sometimes of like Arkham is cruel, and they even mentioned it. The lawyer is like, yeah, you don't need to be in here. There's a bunch of like power hungry guards, and it's like, okay. And then that scene just happens. I'm like, that it's like the mop scene in 13 Reasons Why too. Like, did that really need to be put in? I know you
Right.
want to put that in for a narrative reason, but I think you could have maybe
Right.
added the scene of like. I feel like you take that scene out and then still have his buddy die, and he can showcase his like, wow, like there is something like just to add that it's just like it's just weird and form of like, oh, it's art. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's art.
Okay. I want to talk about something that James, I believe you brought it up, or I forgot. It may have been David too, but I enjoyed at least the first half of this film with Arkham Asylum, and my favorite scene. I will say, I do have a favorite scene in the film: the piano on fire with Lee and Arthur trying to escape. They go through this whole. It's a great number. What it's done,
Right, yeah.
it feels like an old school, scene that we see in like, I don't know, maybe like in West Side Story or something. It's very elaborate. It's like very subtle. It's like, well, at least starts off very subtle, and then it works up to be like this dramatic event with them waltzing and then climbing up, the fence trying to escape. I loved it. My favorite thing that I actually took away from the film, like if I was like, thinking about it back, that's my favorite scene. I do have a couple things that I do want to praise. I do want to praise Catherine Keener because I haven't seen many people talk about her. I actually really liked her, and I think she's the kind of person that at least Todd put together to give audiences be like, okay, we all love Joker, and I think she is what the audience is like. I'm not sure if I'm putting this properly, but she's what the audience is. We're all rooting for Joker. We all want him to what's best for him. We see her, care for him. But yeah, is there anything that you guys did like about the film? I know we've been talking a lot of negatives. I want to see some positives. Mac, did you like anything?
The cinematography was great. I'm glad that they kept the same cinematographer from the last one. Yeah, and a lot of people are like, when a movie's shitty, you always say that at least it looks pretty. And I guess when you give a bigger budget to do more stuff, then I feel like that's what happened. Yeah, I think the cinematography was probably the best for me at least.
Score is also great. Hilton Burr. I forgot how you say her last name because it's so long and I don't even know how to pronounce it. I love her. I've heard her scores in other films. I just don't want to brutal the last name. But James, is there anything that you also liked about the film?
Yes, I mentioned it briefly, but I thought Lady Gaga performance was great. I like sort of the subtle changes they made to their dynamic. And yes, I did like the lawyer character. And I get what you were saying. I think, we all were rooting for Joker. I think that's why this second one's so intriguing. We kind of wanted to see like, okay, the aftermath of this is Joker. Now that society made Joker, or is society going to do right and sort of give Arthur the what he needs, right? That's what we want. We understand the events. We understand why he killed the people in the first one, right? He was sort of bullied and sort of had enough, and we know that there's something wrong with him. So I was hoping that we would expand on that. I think some scenes sort of did give us a little bit of hint to that. But overall, we sadly we didn't get it. But performances were great. Some of the musical numbers were decent. Actually, no, some were actually really good. Like the one you mentioned with the place being on fire. I thought that was brilliant. Um, and yeah, just I will talk positive. But the biggest thing I think I like about the film is it is causing a, even though it is dismissive, it is causing a conversation, right? And I think
Mm-hmm.
that is important. We're getting a lot of different types of people who are at least going out to watch the movie, so that's good. And the biggest thing too is just a reminder that we all have sort of different opinions, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I think we don't need to, like David said earlier, but a lot of people I see that love the movie are saying that people that did not like the movie, that we don't understand it, or like that we're dumb or something like that. It's not about being dumb. It's just the movie didn't vibe with us, and that's okay. Not every movie is going to vibe with you, but to say that, just because you love it and we don't like it, to say we didn't understand it. I understood the movie fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a stark difference from the first film,
Yeah.
and that's all. I'm
Yeah.
sure I didn't like it, and I said when I reviewed it, I did Monday before it came out. I said this movie's going to not do well. No one believed me. I'm like, I know the general audience, right? General audience is not gonna they're not gonna vibe with this. So whether I
Yeah.
love it or not, I look at the general audience, and they didn't do well, and that's okay. It's okay, but don't insult other people in regards
Yes.
to your opinion. So.
Mm-hmm. David.
Absolutely. Now when it comes to this movie as a whole, I think the performances for me did it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I said wasted talent in the beginning. Like no one in
Right.
this movie puts on a bad performance. I think they did great. It is kind of it blows my mind to I just looked it up right now that the first Joker had a $55 million budget,
Yes.
and they did with what they could with that movie, and it was outstanding. And then this
Yeah.
movie has a $200 million budget, and it seems in the same setting, just with musical numbers. Like you can't tell me that 150 million goes to musical numbers. There's no who pocketed all that money. Like it's not going to Catherine Keener. It's not going to Gary Puddles or that little
It's
guy
going
is.
to Joaquin. I will tell you that probably, because he
Yeah,
doesn't want to. No
that
one
was
wanted to do this. Clearly,
that
I
was
think.
like we brought up earlier. Todd Phillips and Joaquin, they were not on board until they said yes. That means they took the bag. They offered
Mm-hmm.
him way more money to do it, and they'd be fools to turn it away, right? But it's like you got to know when enough is enough. Even if you're a method actor, like you got to. He probably has to see this response and be like, you know what? At this point, I'm so rich now. I get to pick and choose because, come on, dude. Like he's supposed to be a humanitarian too. He should know that this is not right for humanity.
Yeah.
Putting out a movie like this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
like
all there. Yeah. He is a big humanitarian.
yeah, you got to be a Daniel Day-Lewis, man, and really pick and choose the movie
Right.
roles that you because this is gonna live on forever. These movies, right? In
Yeah.
cinema history, unfortunately, we get sequels that are either supposed to be equal or beat their predecessors, but unfortunately, this one didn't. And I got to say, all the performances were fantastic. There was a lot of dramatic scenes, obviously, that hit the mark for me. I really like that Gary. Is his name Gary, or am I tripping out? Is it
Gary.
Puddles?
Yeah, Gary
Yeah.
Puddles. Yeah.
Gary
Yeah.
Puddles.
That's a good. That's the best courtroom scene, honestly.
I know. Yeah, I know everybody talked about that scene. I really did like it because you see it from the other side, the person that lived, right? One of the people that could have died. That was a pretty intense scene from the first movie, from what I remember. He lives and he gets to come face to face with Joker, who's pretty much brushing it off, and then he's telling him how this affected him so many years, and then Joker has that revelation of like, hey man, I liked you. That's why I let you live. And he's like, but do you understand what this did to me? And then everybody else, Zazie Beetz as well.
Yeah,
too,
because
which-
Zazie Beetz goes up on the stage too, but it's not as effective as and not as mostly impactful as Puddles was.
Yeah, so I really like that scene. She does kind of give peel back the layers a little more, where it's like your mom would always basically belittle you, talk crap about you. This is the lore of white, and that's when the wheels start to turn. Of like, it's almost like everybody's laughing at him, but they're not literally laughing at him. But he feels embarrassed and ashamed. Like, my mom told me all this shit. He called me happy, and I needed to be a comedian, even though no one likes his comedy. It's a very intense look at the other side of the coin. Like, you look at comedians now, right? People are laughing. He has I don't even call what he, says is comedy. I mean, it could be like the driest comedy ever on the planet, but there is a niche demographic, obviously, if he has followers, right? So it's one of those things where it's like, you create an impact, you have a little, he thinks that he has the world because he has people outside rooting for him. But they're rooting for him in a wrong sense. It's like a anti-establishment type of thing.
Yeah.
And when he finally gets taken, he realizes he doesn't want to be any part of this.
Yeah.
And so there is little messages in there that worked. It's just that this didn't work as a whole. It did feel very disjointed to me.
It's very disjointed. And Mac, do you want to wrap up and give our grades, and then we'll move on to trivia?
I mean, yeah, I guess, and I did want to add one more thing to it too. I
Yeah.
did like that court scene was good to kind of give that other side of perspective, because it's kind of like real life when it comes to like killers. Like you always see it from the killer's perspective, but not a lot of times you see it from like the victim's perspective. There's not like a lot of true crime movies that do that. I think Dahmer is probably the best example of kind of seeing the after effects of it too, along with the killer's effects. But I think another thing that didn't work for me personally was the Harvey Dent type thing, especially of like, oh, this is supposed to be Harvey Dent, and he's after Joker, he's the prosecutor, and I don't really buy him as Harvey Dent. Like he doesn't have that same. I guess it's not fair to compare him to.
He didn't have that charisma as much.
Yeah,
as
no.
actor. I didn't see it.
I can't compare it to Aaron Eckhart because those are two completely different interpretations of it. But it didn't really feel like he was Harvey Dent. I was just like, oh.
I saw him as an ordinary lawyer, honestly.
Yeah,
I didn't see him as anything. I was like, this is our Harvey Dent. All right.
The Two-Face portion of it, too, when the courtroom blew up, I'm like, oh, it's a callback. And I think someone said it best. It's like they ran out of Martin Scorsese things to source for the new movie. I'm like, damn, come on, guys. That's not cool. But I guess for my final grade, I gave it a C-. So I'm going to give it a C- because, like I said, this isn't on levels of Borderlands or Madam Web. It's still just like probably the biggest disappointment this year in terms of sequel, and just kind of like the hype it as. And this will definitely make DC say like, listen, no more experimental films. We'll do Batman and that's it. And anything else comes from James Gunn and that's it, or David Zaslav. Like this movie may have killed the art direction that they wanted this DC Black tagline to go on, because it's just didn't work.
James?
Originally, before this, I said pretty much F or D, but I think I'm convinced to move it up to C. I think there, more we've been talking about it. There are bits and pieces I did enjoy more, and I disagree that it's gonna cancel sort of DC Black. I think it's gonna cancel these sequels. I hadn't done the first one. Like I said, Batman was a planned trilogy. This was supposed to be one off. So like, if we get a Lobo, just do a one off and move on to something else. I don't think it's going to deter making. I think it's going to deter sequels, because I think there's already. I saw this as a standalone from the very beginning. I was okay, make it one, cool, move on. But we're doing a sequel, so I disagree with that. But I'm going to see. Just make more. I think I was more disappointed, and I kind of drop my initial reaction down a bit. But I think a C is fair. Wanted more. Bits and pieces were good, but overall, I think it's just disjointed. Having just kind of put some WD-40 on it, it probably would have been better. But yeah,
dude.
No, I agree with both of you guys. I would give it a C if I had to give it a letter grade. I gave it initially a 3 out of 5. It is slightly above average, but that's just because of the budget, how everything looks. Some of the musical numbers, once again, the performances. So I mean, I can't call it below average movies, because I'm not trying to compare it to other movies that I've given 3s either, because that all depends, right, on genre and budget, and there's so many different things. I mean, we saw Terrifier knocked it out of the. Isn't that crazy that Terrifier made more money this weekend?
Yeah, it's insane.
And everybody was calling it, and I was like, really? But that's
the scariest clown we get in theaters right now.
Yeah, absolutely. But the fans have spoken. I think the word has spread that they're not even going to give this movie time of day. It's going to hit, early November, WB. HBO Max, and they're going to try to recoup some money. And
they'll just push it. I think they'll just push it just for a Golden Globe.
It's not getting a Golden Globe.
I think it's for performances. Maybe I think it's going to get some kind of recognition. Maybe, but not for the film itself. That's what I think. I think there is some awards, but not much going forward with this.
Probably for the soundtrack too. And also think about it, how scary this is. We're less than a week away from Venom Last Dance. That has a more chance of being well received than Joker 2. Who would have thought that to start the year? Venom The Last Dance has a chance to make more money and be more successful, the ending of a trilogy. I wasn't on my bingo card, but I'll take it.
All right, so with my review, I gave it a C, but maybe that'll change down the road. But right now, I'm pretty much in agreement with you, David, and James, and Mac as well. I think it was average. Could have been better, but that's our thoughts on Joker 2. Have you all been calling it Folie?
No.
What is it? I just call it Joker 2.
I got Joker 2.
It did not need like that title like what the Harley Quinn Birds of Prey had. Like everybody was calling it Birds of Prey.
What, you didn't like the Birds of Prey, the fantastic emancipation of one Harley Quinn? I have that ticket stub before they changed it. I have that stub of it just saying the entire, it cuts off.
Wow.
So that whole title cuts off, but I still have it.
All right. Who's ready for a little true or false trivia as we wrap up this live stream? So we're just going to have a little competition here. Mac, James, and David. I came up with 8 questions and maybe a bonus question. So they're all just going to be true or false, like I said. And whoever wins just gets acknowledgement of the day. You know, best of the true or false champion.
Go.
Yes, my life dream.
Yes. Live stream. All righties. True or false? Bradley Cooper is a producer of Joker 2.
True.
I'm gonna say false.
Mac?
False.
It is false. He is only
false?
a producer of the first film.
Damn.
He was like, peace, I ain't doing this shit.
Yeah,
I didn't even know he was a producer. I didn't even know he was a producer of the first one.
Yeah, he's a producer.
I saw that. I was like, damn.
Yeah, and he saw a reason to do it. Not for the sequel. Makes sense. He has a good eye. Question 2. True or false? Joaquin Phoenix, this is his first sequel in his entire career. True or false?
True.
I'm gonna say true.
I'm gonna say false. I feel like he's done a sequel before.
He has not done a sequel.
No.
So this is true. So this is his
first.
first sequel
First
ever.
and last. First and last.
First and last. He's not returning for Gladiator 2. So here we are with his first sequel. Question 3. True or false? The film was not screened for test audiences.
That's true.
False.
True.
What? Really?
Warner Brothers went full force.
Yep. That should have been another hint too.
Yeah.
What?
I saw that. I was like, there's
They
no
went
way.
full force.
That's
And
like,
said, let's go with the punches, baby.
so that begs the question. Wait, real quick question. That begs the question: if the test screenings came out and the word got out that this is like what happened with Indiana Jones, and the test screenings came out and it was like, this is terrible, would the same thing have happened to Joker, or were everyone's expectation already been lowered from those test screenings? Would the reception be just about the same or even better because we had those test screenings? That's the big question about it.
I mean, maybe that audience feedback would have helped. So, with that,
They probably would done reshoots or delayed a movie. They would probably done reshoots if they could. But honestly, they could have with Joaquin being getting so much, losing weight for this role. But they would have done something, whether it's delayed it or released one of the other endings. But it would have been interesting if they'd done it.
All righties. Question 4. Joaquin Phoenix and Brendan Gleeson previously appeared in Banshees of Inisherin together. True or false?
Could you repeat the question for me? I didn't hear the first part.
Okay, true or false? Joaquin Phoenix and Brendan Gleeson previously appeared in Banshees in Inisherin. It's like the 2022.
A movie, yeah.
I'm gonna say true.
Yeah, I think it's true.
David?
I haven't seen that movie, so I don't. I'm gonna say false.
False. They appeared together in 2004's The Village, directed by M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh, I still haven't seen that one.
See, I tricked you there. It was actually another DC fanboy hot topic at the moment, Colin Farrell.
Oh, that's right.
Who's
Okay.
in the Penguin right now. I wanted to throw you all off a little.
That was good questions.
All righties, here we go. Now, here's another one. True or false? Lady Gaga wrote the waltz scene. True or false?
I think I read. I'm gonna say true. I think I read about that.
I'm I'm gonna say true because she writes a lot of her stuff, so I don't know. I'm just gonna say true.
Oh, I'll be the majority. I would say true as well.
It is true, and it's very
Yeah.
reminiscent to The Greatest Showman,
Right.
from what I remember and from what I also read online.
I have not seen that one.
I know Greatest Showman. It's good, but not nearly as
You're not
good
missing
as
anything,
other.
trust me.
Alrighties. Lady Gaga, aka Lee in the film, calls Joker by his real name, Arthur, 3 times in the film. In the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. True or false?
True.
If I can repeat the question again.
Yeah.
No, I got it. I'm gonna say true because she does say Joker a lot. Say true.
I'm gonna say false because I feel like if the idea of that she never really liked Arthur for Arthur, then I don't think she would ever say the name to say Joker.
Okay. Lady Gaga calls Joker by his real name, Arthur, once in the film, and that's at the very end
that
of the
makes sense.
film.
Yeah, Rebecca's right. Yeah, that makes sense.
All righty, so here we go. Okay. True or false? The film stars 4 Oscar winners: Lady Gaga, Phoenix, Catherine Keener, and Steve Coogan.
False.
I'll go with false. I'm not sure if one of them has an Oscar, so I'm going with false.
Yeah, I don't know if Coogan has a. I mean, he could, but I'm gonna say false.
It is false. Lady Gaga and Joaquin have won Oscars. Keener has been nominated for 2 Oscars,
right,
one
yeah.
for Capote and one for being John Malkovich. And then Coogan was nominated twice for a film called Philomena. If you have not seen that, that's a great film.
I was gonna say, hasn't Brendan Gleeson won an Oscar too?
Brendan Gleeson has not won.
Oh,
He's been nominated. Okay, last true or false question. The Look of Bill, the Judge Herman Roth, I can't even say his last name, Ruthwax, plays tribute to Martin Scorsese. He was a strong influence for the movie, as well as he also directed The King of Comedy starring Robert De Niro, which was the inspiration to Joker's look in 2019. True or false?
I would say that was true.
Yeah, go true.
That's true. So if you see the judge in the film, that's supposed to be Martin Scorsese lookalike, I guess, or whoever.
I thought it was at first when he
That's
walked out.
him.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of does. So, all right. I wasn't keeping track of score, so if you were keeping track of score, great. I believe it. I believe you all are winners, but here's our bonus question. I'm just going to give a nice estimate. How many views did the first trailer get in 24 hours?
The first trailer get
For this movie?
Yes, for Joker 2.
Oh my god! You said in 24 hours?
Yes, in 24 hours. Just take a guess.
I'm gonna say at least 2 million because it beat out the Star Wars trailer that year, and that's what was the big talking point because the last Jedi, the Rise of Skywalker, didn't get a lot of love.
I'm gonna say 5 million.
5
I'll
million?
go 4 million.
167 million views in 24 hours.
What?
Wait, hold up! Whoa!
Wait,
Whoa!
oh.
No, there's no way.
This is what I was reported on the IMDb trivia.
That's
Wow.
like
I kid you
5
not.
times. That's like 5 times more than like a Mr. Beast video or something.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, no.
People were excited.
100.
Wow.
Oh my god.
We're
So
way
Macaroon-
off.
Yeah.
I wonder what the like and dis ratio like is that on that trailer is now.
They took it away. Didn't they take likes and stuff away?
Yeah.
Did they take away the like?
Oh, I got a plug in. You can still see it.
Oh.
Oh.
I wonder how the new one has the dislike ratio too. I didn't.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I just read a
Well, if
report
it-
too.
okay,
That,
so-
oh, go ahead.
Someone was talking.
Oh no,
On-
I think
So
he's
on this one, I'm looking at it says 36 million in 6 months ago, but I don't know if that's the first trailer.
As of April 11th, 2024, according to Variety, the marketing for Studios DC sequel headlined Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga got off a stellar start with 167 million viewers in its first 24 hours.
Okay.
I guess it was an exciting sequel. What can you say? You know.
People were excited.
Yeah.
Us incels were excited, is what Todd Phillips wants to refer to us as.
Please don't.
Isn't that crazy though? Like, because I never looked at it at a incel vibe at all whatsoever. I looked at it, of course, the mental health, at least the first movie,
Yeah.
of him never being acknowledged, like he was in the room, like he even existed. So when he finally got, or what he thought was, an interaction with the neighbor, he went with that and he kind of pursued that in his awkward way. And what is incelly about? I don't understand what's
Yeah.
incelly about that. I thought the
I'm
whole thing was incel was like kind of forcing yourself onto someone
yeah.
that
That's
doesn't. I don't know.
yeah, to me I saw that more as a cry for mental health kind of a film. We need to take care of better mental health, and that's what I saw the first film as. But I think this is gonna wrap up everything. Is that correct?
Yeah, because I mean, like I said, I think I'll end this off here. Do you think Joker 2 is the worst movie of the year, or do you feel like that it's just getting a little tad bit overhated?
Tad bit overrated. We still got Smile next week. That's my pre-contender for worst movie of the year. It's Smile 2, but yeah, I think Joker I think it's just expectations, and it's a reminder that I'm usually pretty good about this. I got to hit her expectations. I think that's it. We all went in with a great expectation, and unfortunately, we're all let down with that. So I don't think it's, like I said, the worst actual film itself, right? Like quality of film is good. Yeah, I don't think it's the worst film. I think there's far worse films story wise, like Trap, right? That I think is worse. So I don't think it's the worst film of the year. The biggest disappointment right now, I would say yes.
I'm agreeing with that.
Then
David?
we get movies like Strangers and
Yes!
One. We got to. I'm trying to look back at like some of the movies that we.
Those
got
are some of the bad movies we got this year.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Tarot.
Yeah, I'm
Madam
looking at
Web.
Arrow, Imaginary. I haven't seen any. Yeah, I forgot Madam Web came out this year.
Borderlands, The Crow.
Borderlands.
Crow.
I think Borderlands was so bad. I went to go see that with like 5 people in the audience, like behind me.
There was 3
I
people
didn't know
in
a
my-
single thing about Borderlands, and I walked out like not really caring about what I just saw. But it's not the worst, but it's definitely the most disappointing for sure.
Yeah, disappointment is a huge word for this film. But I think that's gonna wrap it up.
Yes, this has been awesome. Our first ever live stream. Hopefully, the many more to come. And we want to thank our guests.
This is fun.
We want to thank our guests for coming on. And guys, where can the good folks find you at? Because it'll be linked in the description to go check y'all out.
Yeah, so I do. Yeah, I do all my reviews. I post on Instagram. Handle is Imjamesshaw. Very, very simple. Yeah, my reviews are usually very fast paced. Don't really give a fuck, and I post it. And that's it. That's that's I can say about my style. So,
David?
Yeah, you guys can find me on YouTube just at FlixTalk, FLIX Talk. I do 3 live streams a week, just kind of taking requests or just talking movie trailers, movie news, whatever under the sun. And yeah, you guys can find me on YouTube. I'm also on Rumble as well, just kind of multi-stream back and forth. And yeah, I just like building a good cinephile community and just going over just movie news in general, because there's so much that's coming out that's just tying all together with entertainment. And yeah, I love connecting with people like you, awesome cinephiles that just like to have a good time and build with the community. So we're very community oriented.
Yes.
Let's talk.
No wrong opinions here in the cinephile community at all. Mac, I think this was a lot of fun. I can't wait to do this again.
Yeah,
so
maybe
where
we
can
can
the
do
good
it.
people find us?
Maybe we could do it again for Terrifier. We can break it down what made us feel sick and uneasy.
throw it up. Yeah,
I'm a sick individual. But yes, you can find us on our YouTube channel at the M&K Productions Podcast. Our Instagram has the same name as well. You can also support us on our Patreon as well. Shout out to our patrons for the month: Lee Maxima, Audrey Hayes, and Darius, aka D Riptide. Y'all are the real MVPs. And yeah, make sure you check us out on all your streaming platforms, wherever you kids listen to your podcast nowadays. I have no idea where you listen to. But until next episode, I've been Mac. This has been Kristen. These have been our guests, David and James. Make sure you check them all out. And until next time, we'll see you all next time. Peace.
Bye.